Yeah, you. The one whose ancestry just lit up databases in 3 separate nations like a Christmas tree made of classified files and ancient warnings. You thought this was just one of those DNA test kits, didn't you? Spit in a tube. Find out you're 3% Scandinavian, maybe connect with a distant cousin. But no. What came back wasn't heritage. It was a Homeland Security briefing. What came back wasn't family history. It was a threat assessment. What came back made someone, somewhere, in 3 different capitals, whisper the same terrified phrase into a secure line. We found one. See, they tell you bloodlines don't matter anymore, that we're all just modern humans shuffling through our mundane little lives. That lineage is just a cute dinner party conversation. But that's the lie they need you to believe. Because if you really knew what runs through your veins, what genetic memory pulses in your cells, what your ancestors were before history got rewritten by the victors, you'd understand why 3 governments just went into emergency session. You'd understand why your name is now circulating in rooms with no windows. You'd understand why suddenly people who've never spoken to you are very interested in having a private conversation. Not an interview, not a friendly chat, a conversation. The kind with leather chairs, one-way mirrors, and questions that start with, how much do you know about your family's real history? Let me tell you what happened the moment your results came back. Somewhere in a lab, a geneticist looked at a screen and froze. Not confused, terrified. Because your markers, your genetic signature, your bloodline code, it matched patterns they've been tracking for decades. Patterns that aren't supposed to exist anymore. Patterns that were supposed to be extinct, eliminated, erased from the human gene pool centuries ago through very deliberate, very quiet programs disguised as plagues, wars, and witch hunts. But here you are, a genetic ghost, walking proof that some bloodlines refuse to die. Your DNA isn't just unique. It's archaeological evidence. It's a living fossil. It's the kind of thing that makes people realize history is a controlled narrative, and you're the glitch in that narrative. They tried to track these bloodlines before, you know. Not for research, for containment. Because people with your genetic markers, people from your lineage, they don't behave like normal citizens. They don't think like the rest. They don't break like they're supposed to. Throughout history, they've been the rebels, the visionaries, the ones who couldn't be controlled through fear or religion or law. They've been the shamans who saw too clearly, the leaders who refused to bow, the artists who painted truths, empires wanted buried. Every time your ancestors appeared in the historical record, chaos followed. Not because they were violent, but because they were awake. And awake people who can't be hypnotized by the system, are the most dangerous threat to any power structure. So here's what's happening right now. While you're watching this, while you're processing this information that's probably making your skin crawl with recognition. In one nation, they're pulling your file, cross-referencing your social media, your purchase history, your travel patterns, building a profile to determine threat level. In another, they're assembling a team, specialists in genetic counseling, which is just a polite term for how do we neutralize this without it looking suspicious. And in the third, someone much older, much more informed than any elected official, is looking at your bloodline chart and remembering old stories, old wars, old promises that certain families would never rise again. All 3 governments want the same thing: to understand how you slipped through, how your lineage survived when they were so certain they'd pruned this particular branch from the human family tree. You want to know what they found when they traced your bloodline back? Not just names and dates. They found connections, patterns. Your ancestors keep appearing at historical turning points, always on the wrong side of official history, always branded as heretics, rebels, witches, conspirators. But here's the thing. They were always right. The history books call them traitors, but the truth whispers they were the only ones who wouldn't trade freedom for security. Your great-great however many grandmother, she was labeled hysterical, but her writings predicted everything happening now. Your ancestor 4 generations back disappeared without explanation, but right before vanishing, he published research that made 3 governments very, very nervous. It's all there in the genetic memory, in the blood that remembers even when conscious minds forget. Now they're wondering if you know, if you've felt it, if you've noticed that you don't process information like everyone else, that you see patterns before they complete, that you can't be gaslit even when everyone around you insists you're wrong. They're wondering if you've figured out yet that your instincts aren't anxiety, they're ancestral warnings, that your inability to trust authority isn't a personality flaw, it's genetic wisdom, that your feeling of not belonging isn't depression, it's your bloodline recognizing that this system was never built for people like you. See, they can handle rebels, they can handle activists, they can handle protesters and dissidents. What they can't handle is someone whose very DNA is coded for resistance, someone who doesn't need to be radicalized because revolution is literally in their blood. Here's what terrifies them most. You're not alone. Your bloodline isn't the only one that survived. There are others scattered across the planet, waking up to the same realization, getting the same mysterious interest from authorities, feeling the same ancient recognition. And the moment you all figure out you're connected, the moment this scattered diaspora of awakened bloodlines finds each other, that's when the real conversation begins. Not the one they want to have with you in some secure facility. The conversation between those who remember and those who are finally ready to stop forgetting. That's the conversation that changes everything. So when they come, and they will come, with their smiles and their tests and their opportunities and their very concerned questions about your well-being, understand what's really happening. They're not studying you. They're assessing you, determining if you're controllable, if you're aware, if you're dangerous. And here's the beautiful, terrifying truth. There's no right answer. If you pretend ignorance, they'll monitor you forever, waiting for activation. If you show knowledge, you become a priority target. If you resist, you confirm their fears. The only move is to become so undeniably yourself, so completely aligned with whatever that bloodline coded into you, that their categories break trying to contain you. You know what's funny? They thought they were so clever. Centuries of breeding programs disguised as social engineering. Centuries of eliminating bloodlines through targeted conflicts. Centuries of rewriting history so your ancestors look like villains instead of visionaries. And yet here you are, unbroken, uncontrolled. A genetic middle finger to every authority that tried to erase your lineage. Your existence is proof that some things can't be killed, only suppressed. And suppression always ends the same way, with eruption. They wanted you extinct. Instead, you're awake, And that might be the most revolutionary thing that's happened in their carefully controlled timeline in the last 100 years. Let's go deeper into what they're really afraid of, because this isn't about you individually. It's about what you represent genetically. See, your bloodline carries markers, specific genetic expressions that correlate with things that make power structures very uncomfortable. Enhanced pattern recognition, heightened threat detection, resistance to psychological manipulation, an almost allergic reaction to authoritarian structures. These aren't superpowers. They're survival adaptations that your ancestors developed because they lived through things most people can't imagine. Genocides disguised as religious movements, purges disguised as progress, erasures disguised as enlightenment. Your DNA remembers when speaking truth meant execution, when thinking differently meant persecution, when refusing to comply meant your entire family line could be eliminated. And now, centuries later, that genetic memory is active in you. You can't watch the news without seeing the patterns. You can't listen to official narratives without hearing the contradictions. You can't accept comfortable lies even when the truth is terrifying. This isn't paranoia. This is your bloodline's immune system recognizing familiar threats. Your ancestors survived by developing an early warning system, and you inherited it. That's why you've always felt watched, monitored, observed, not because you're crazy, but because on some level, you've always been on their radar. They track bloodlines. They always have. And yours just moved from dormant to active status. Here's what the three governments know that you're just discovering. Your bloodline has been involved in every major resistance movement for the last 1,000 years, just under different names, different languages, different causes. But the pattern is identical. Wherever there was centralized power trying to control human consciousness, your ancestors were the ones who refused to bow. They were the printers during the Inquisition, the teachers during book burnings, the healers during witch hunts, the philosophers during thought purges. They didn't organize. They just kept existing, kept thinking, kept teaching, kept spreading ideas that power couldn't tolerate. And every time they were supposedly eliminated, they'd reappear a generation later. Same bloodline, same defiant spark, same inability to be broken. Now imagine you're a government that spent centuries trying to create a compliant population, and suddenly you discover there are genetic lines that are biologically resistant to compliance. That's not a citizen. That's a security threat. That's why they want a private conversation. They need to know if you're aware, if you've activated, if you're organizing. Because if people with your genetic markers start recognizing each other, start networking, start realizing they're not alone in their inability to accept official reality, that's when their whole control structure starts showing cracks. You're not just a person to them. You're a catalyst, a genetic alarm system, walking evidence that their programs failed. Let me tell you what they won't. Every major surveillance program for the last 50 years has had a secondary function beyond national security. They're tracking genetic patterns. They're monitoring which family lines produce what they call disruptive personalities. They're watching for activation markers, signs that dormant genetic traits are expressing. Your social media? Analyzed for speech patterns that match historical dissidents. Your purchase history, scanned for consumption that indicates awakening consciousness. Your travel, mapped against known congregation points for people with similar genetic profiles. You thought you were just living your life. They've been building a profile on your entire lineage, waiting to see if this generation would express the traits or stay dormant. And then you took a DNA test, and everything lit up, because you're not dormant. You're active. You're expressing. You're exactly what they were afraid would happen. See, they can handle millions of sleeping lions, but one awake, one that realizes what it is, that changes the whole equation. And now 3 governments are trying to figure out the same thing. Are you the only one awake in your bloodline, or are there others? Have you connected with anyone else who shares these markers? Do you know what you are yet? Or are you still confused? Still thinking this is all coincidence? Because the moment you stop questioning and start knowing, the moment you move from confusion to certainty, that's when you become what they've been preparing for. So here's the part where it gets really interesting. They want a private conversation, but not to harm you. They want to study you. They want to understand how your genetic line survived when they were so certain it was eliminated. They want to know if the traits can be suppressed, controlled, or possibly harvested. Because if they can understand the mechanism that makes your bloodline resistant to control, they can either neutralize it or weaponize it. Imagine being able to create soldiers with your pattern recognition but without your free will. Imagine being able to breed out the resistance while keeping the enhanced perception. That's what the private conversation is really about. You're not in trouble. You're valuable, and that might be more dangerous. But here's what they don't understand. What they've never understood about bloodlines like yours. You can't separate the traits. You can't take the pattern recognition without the resistance. You can't have the enhanced perception without the refusal to comply. It's all connected. Your ancestors tried to tell them this. Every attempt to control your lineage has backfired because the very thing that makes you useful makes you ungovernable. You can't be programmed. You can't be conditioned. You can't be convinced to act against your own knowing. And every time they try to study bloodlines like yours, the researchers end up changed. Some quit. Some disappear. Some start asking dangerous questions. Because proximity to awakened genetics is contagious. Now we enter the territory they really don't want you thinking about. What if your bloodline's survival wasn't luck? What if it was protected? What if there are forces older than governments, organizations that exist outside official structures, networks that have been preserving specific genetic lines for reasons you're only beginning to understand? You think 3 governments noticed you simultaneously by coincidence? Or did someone, somewhere, make sure your results would trigger their systems? Did someone want you to know you're being watched? Did someone want you activated? Because here's the thing about awakening. It's not always organic. Sometimes it's orchestrated. Sometimes you're not discovering the truth. Sometimes the truth is revealing itself to you. And the question becomes, who benefits from your activation? Think about it. Your whole life, you've felt different, separate, like you're watching a movie everyone else is living in. You've questioned things you weren't supposed to question. You've seen through narratives that everyone else accepts. You've resisted conditioning that worked perfectly on your peers. And you thought this was just your personality, your individual quirks. But what if it's all genetic? What if every rebellion, Every refusal, every moment you chose truth over comfort was your bloodline expressing itself. What if you're not choosing to be this way? What if this is what you are, coded into every cell, unavoidable as your eye color? And if that's true, if resistance is genetic, then every attempt to make you compliant is essentially asking you to fight your own biology. Here's what happens next, and you need to understand this clearly. They're going to approach you, not obviously, not dramatically. It'll start subtle. Maybe a job offer that seems too perfect. Maybe a research study that wants to interview you about your family history. Maybe a new friend who asks too many specific questions. Maybe academic opportunities that require genetic screening. They'll come wearing different faces, using different methods, but the goal is identical: access. They want samples. They want information. They want to understand you at the molecular level. And here's the trick. They'll make it seem beneficial, like you're being chosen for something special, like your uniqueness is finally being recognized. But recognition isn't the same as acceptance. They're not celebrating you. They're cataloging you. Some of you watching this are already thinking this is paranoid conspiracy theory nonsense. And that's fine. That's the response they've conditioned into populations for exactly this reason. Anyone who speaks about genetic tracking, bloodline monitoring, ancestral persecution gets labeled crazy. It's the perfect system. The truth sounds so extreme that speaking it makes you seem unbalanced, which discredits the truth, which keeps the system safe. But notice something: your gut reaction, not your logical mind. Your gut. Does this feel true, even though it sounds insane? That's your bloodline recognizing itself in these words. That's genetic memory activating. You can deny it consciously all you want, but something deeper already knows. And for those of you who feel that recognition, who are reading these words and feeling your whole body say, yes, this. Finally, someone said it. Understand what's happening. You're activating. This isn't metaphorical. This is biological. Information is triggering genetic expression. You're not learning something new. You're remembering something old. Something your bloodline has known for generations, but couldn't safely speak. And now that you're activated, now that you're aware, you're going to start seeing signs everywhere. Patterns in history that suddenly make sense. Family stories that seemed exaggerated but now sound like survival testimonies. Instincts you've ignored that were actually warnings. Your whole life is about to reorganize around this new framework, and there's no going back to comfortable ignorance. Let's address the elephant in the room. What do you do with this information? They're watching. They want a conversation. Your bloodline is significant. You're genetically coded for resistance. Now what? Here's the truth. There's no manual for this. Your ancestors navigated this same realization under different circumstances, and they left no written instructions because written instructions become evidence. But they did leave something. They left you. Your existence is proof they succeeded. They survived long enough to pass on the bloodline, which means they found a way to navigate being watched, being targeted, being of interest to authorities. And somehow, they stayed alive, stayed free, stayed awake. That knowledge is in you, not in your conscious mind, but in your cells. So when the private conversation comes, When someone finally makes direct contact, you'll know what to do. Not because you've planned for it, but because your genetics will guide you. You'll feel which questions to answer and which to deflect. You'll sense which opportunities are genuine and which are traps. You'll know when to speak and when silence is survival. This isn't mystical. This is evolutionary psychology. Your ancestors who survived passed on not just genes, but behavioral patterns, survival strategies coded into instinct. Ah, wow. Investigators, actual investigators just stormed in, and your friends, your coworkers, oh, they're mad, furious, like, nah, not just mad, full on fire mode. Can you imagine it? People talking, gossiping, laughing, sharing tiny secrets. And now, poof, suddenly it's a crime scene. Oh yeah, total chaos. But listen, here's the thing. This isn't just some boring story. Nah, this is a wake-up call. A lesson wrapped in fury, wrapped in laughter, wrapped in truth. And trust me, you'll want to see every second, every moment, every reaction. Welcome to our channel, Darkness. Throne and stick with me. Watch this whole video, don't skip. Because the madness, the fury, the chaos, it's gonna explode right in front of your eyes. And oh, I need you to do something. Drop your thoughts, your wildest reactions, your laughs in the comments. Yeah, I wanna feel it. I want to see it, your energy, and yo, real quick, a tribute to you, the ones who watch, the ones who care, the ones who see through the noise. You are the reason this story matters. Yeah, you, the sharp minds, the honest hearts, the curious souls. This is your moment too. Curiosity is a blade. It cuts deeper than you think. Oh, they came. The investigators. Quiet steps, serious faces, pens ready, eyes sharp as knives. They knocked on doors you didn't even know were locked. And everyone. Your friends, your co-workers, they whispered, they gossiped. Little stories flew around like sparks, tiny fires in the calm night. It was harmless, or so you thought. Yeah, harmless. But in their eyes, every laugh, every shrug, every careless word was a clue, a key, a secret that must be pried open. Nah, they didn't understand. They never understand. People like that don't see life. They see boxes, neat lists, neat shapes. They crave order. They demand certainty. But life is not neat. Life is messy. Life is sharp. Life is the wind in your face when you're standing on the edge. And fire doesn't ask permission to burn. Fire just burns. And now, oh, now, they wanted answers. They wanted chaos wrapped in neat sentences. They wanted the story tied up, packaged, and signed with proof. But here's the truth. They are weak against laughter, against human noise, against the kind of small, simple joy that makes the heart light and the mind clever. Gossip, they think, is dangerous, but it is not. Gossip is just noise. Tiny sparks flying through the air. Tiny sparks that remind us we are alive. Yeah, alive and breathing, even when the world wants us silent. Even when they want us contained, written about in a notebook, categorized, judged. You watched. You listened. Your pulse was calm, steady. But inside, inside there was a storm, and it was beautiful, because storms don't beg permission. Storms don't wait for the right time. Storms are sudden, unstoppable. Wait, no. I said no, not unstoppable. Storms are choices. Storms are proof that life is real, raw, and unforgiving in the best possible way. And these investigators, they were chasing shadows, looking for ghosts in the laughter. And the best part, they were going to find nothing. Nothing except humans being human, and a world too alive to be written down on a sheet of paper. The office rooms, the lunch tables, the hallways, they became stages. Every casual remark, every side comment, every oh wow that escaped a mouth was a performance. And you just standing there watching it unfold were the quiet conductor. You didn't speak. You didn't explain. You didn't justify. You just let the world do what it does. People get nervous. People get angry. People get curious. They want proof. They want truth. But truth is slippery. Truth is not theirs to hold. It belongs to the moment, to the choices made when no one is watching, to the small, unrecorded acts of honesty. Yeah, the spark is lit. And once it sparks, it grows. Not in chaos that destroys, but in clarity that wakes. And oh, the investigators will feel it. They will feel the weight of small human acts they cannot control. They will feel it in the quiet, in the pauses, in the eyes that refuse to lower. They will feel it, and they will wonder. Anger is a mirror. It shows what we truly carry inside. Oh yeah. The moment they started asking, something shifted. Your friends, your coworkers, the ones dragged into little rooms, cornered by questions they didn't ask for, faces red, hands trembling, voices rising, fury, raw, unpolished, loud. They were furious. Not because anything was wrong, not because they had lied, not because a secret had been stolen. Nah, they were furious because someone dared poke at the life they had quietly built. The laughter they shared, the small joys they allowed themselves. It's funny, isn't it? Anger is such a strange fire. Some people think it burns them, but no, it reveals them. Every snap, every sharp word, every heavy sigh is a story of strength they didn't even know they had. And now, that strength was flickering in front of you like lightning. Unpredictable, electric. Your friends were angry, but in that anger there was pride. In that anger there was clarity. Fury can destroy, sure, but it can also wake the mind. It can sharpen thoughts. It can illuminate truths that timid hearts never see. And yes, they shouted. Yes, they slammed doors. Yes, they cursed the questions without even saying the words. But look closer. Look past the noise. The fury was not chaos. It was a shield against being broken down, examined like an object, judged like a number. Every furious exhale said the same thing. I exist, I think. I decide. They were standing up, not against you, not against life, but against the idea that someone else can define them. Oh wow, the investigators didn't see it. They couldn't see it. They were trained to record words, trace patterns, measure reactions. They expected weakness in the eyes, hesitation in the voice, cracks in the calm, but what they found instead was a storm, contained, powerful, alive. Fury had become armor. Fury had become proof that human beings cannot always be reduced to questions on paper. Fury was not a mistake. Fury was a lesson. Yeah. Every furious glance, every snap of a word, every side remark was a challenge. A challenge to the notion that control belongs to the one who asks questions. A challenge to the belief that small words in small rooms matter more than understanding. And oh, it matters. All right? But not the way they think. It matters in the quiet moments. When a person realizes their voice is theirs alone, when laughter returns after anger, when clarity shines after fury. And here's the twist, the part they will never see coming. Fury, if used wisely, is not just a response, it is fuel. Fuel to think, to reflect, to rise stronger than the moment that provoked it. It is the spark that turns a tiny inconvenience into awareness. It is the whisper that says, I will not be measured by your questions, but by my own understanding. Nah, they will feel it, slowly, uneasily. Because fury like this cannot be ignored. It does not vanish quietly. It lingers. It shifts the balance. It forces them to confront the truth that some things, human joy, human choice, human pride, cannot be controlled. And you watch it all, calm, knowing the storm is only beginning. The hardest questions are not the ones asked. They are the ones we answer to ourselves. Oh, look at them. The investigators, flipping pages, scribbling notes, thinking they hold the story in their hands. But here's the truth. They don't. Not even close. Because the words they chase, the whispers they collect, they are shadows of life, not life itself. They ask about you, your friends, your co-workers, and they think that in answers they will find control. Yeah, control. Funny, isn't it? You can ask 1,000 questions, pry 1,000 secrets, and still walk away with nothing. Nah. What they don't see is the mirror. The mirror that reflects not them, not their notebooks, not their authority, but everything they cannot measure. Every laugh, every sigh, every careless comment becomes a reflection of their own limitations. And in that reflection, there is clarity. The chaos they fear, the stories they dissect, are nothing compared to the human mind that chooses freedom over fear. Your friends were furious. They shouted, slammed doors, warned the world with their voices. And yet in that fury, they revealed something deeper, something they did not even realize. The mirror is subtle. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It shows you the truth quietly, in moments you try to ignore, in words you almost didn't hear. And now every question the investigators asked became a lesson for them too. Every forced word, every hesitation, every oh wow that escaped someone's lips reflected back to the asker the limits of their power. Oh wow. It's intoxicating to watch. Because now, the hunters become the observed. The seekers become the measured. They cannot handle it. They expected weakness, whispers, hesitation. But all they found were choices. Choices made in honesty. Choices made in patience. Choices made with quiet confidence that no notebook, no pen, no list could ever capture. The mirror doesn't lie. The mirror shows what they are not ready to see. That some things cannot be taken. Some things cannot be recorded. Some things belong only to the moment and to the heart that lives it. Yeah, and here's the delicious part. The mirror grows. Every question they ask, every person they corner, every attempt to find control reflects the same truth back to them. Chaos is natural. Noise is human. Gossip is harmless. Life cannot be caged in boxes, neat rows, or pages of writing. And every flash of fury, every small human act, every laugh becomes proof they cannot hold. Not because it's complicated, but because they are looking in the wrong direction. And they don't realize it yet. They will feel it slowly, uneasily. The weight of every word that escaped their control. The small realization that life doesn't answer to interrogation, that life doesn't apologize for existing, that human choice, human pride, human clarity cannot be forced. It cannot be stolen. It simply is, quietly, defiantly, steadily. Oh, and you, watching it all, know the final truth the mirror holds. The mirror does not judge. It does not punish. It only reflects. It only reminds. And the investigators, the ones who thought they had the upper hand, will see themselves in that reflection soon enough. Order is a lie. We tell ourselves to feel safe. Oh, look around. The calm is gone. Every whispered word, every casual comment, every tiny spark of gossip has erupted into motion. Your friends, your co-workers, the very people they tried to control with questions, they are alive with reaction. Fury, laughter, confusion, clarity, all mixed together like a storm. And you watch, quiet, calculating, letting it unfold. Yeah, letting it unfold. Because chaos is not weakness. Chaos is truth revealed in motion. The investigators wanted neat answers. They wanted straight lines, patterns, proof that the world could be controlled with questions. But they forgot one rule. Life does not follow questions. Life does not answer curiosity. Life is movement. Life is noise and chaos. Chaos is not an enemy. Chaos is a mirror that shows the strength of those who stand in it. It tests patience, sharpens understanding, and forces clarity where only confusion existed before. Oh, wow. Your friends are speaking now. Not just defending themselves, not just explaining, but realizing the weight of their own voices. Every shout, every I don't know, every sharp laugh carries power. The power of choice. The power of refusing to be cornered. They feel the fury you saw before, yes, but now it is tempered. Now it is focused. Every uncontrolled reaction is now a tool. Every emotion a weapon against the false order they tried to impose. And you smile quietly because the investigators cannot measure this. They cannot contain it. They cannot touch it. They are learning too late, oh so late, that chaos does not obey. Yeah, and that's the most beautiful part. The chaos is not just reaction. It is preparation. It is a fire that sharpens minds. It is a storm that cleanses fear. Every question they asked, every look they threw, every notebook they scribbled in, it all fuels something far bigger than annoyance or curiosity. It fuels awareness. It fuels understanding. It fuels the knowledge that no one can take from you what you choose to hold inside. And yet, the chaos is delicate. It requires patience. It requires watching, waiting, listening, Every whispered comment that once seemed meaningless now carries weight. Every small act of honesty becomes a thread in a larger web. A web that cannot be torn by fear or interrogation. Oh, the investigators sense it. Yes, they sense the shift. The weight is changing, and their neat patterns, their lists of questions, their charts of words, they crumble slowly, painfully, under the quiet insistence of human choice. Nah, it is not over. Chaos is not finished with them. It is only beginning. The fire of fury, the mirror of reflection, the strength that grows quietly, all of it converges in this moment. Every person who was questioned, every word that was recorded, every reaction they tried to control is now moving toward clarity. And the investigators, the ones who thought they were the hunters, are becoming part of the lesson. Oh, and you, standing on the edge of it all, see the inevitable. The chaos does not destroy, it awakens, it teaches. It sharpens the mind and the heart. And soon, very soon, everyone will see it. Truth is not what they ask. Truth is what you choose. Oh, they asked. They pried. They leaned in, pens poised, eyes sharp, expecting cracks, slips, confessions. They thought they held the upper hand. They thought the questions were power. They thought the chaos, the fury, the mirrors of reflection could be contained, measured, explained away. Yeah, funny, isn't it? They spent so much energy chasing words, but the real answers were never theirs to take. Nah, the truth was always inside. Inside your friends, your co-workers, inside you. Every glance, every pause, every small act of honesty that escaped scrutiny quietly carried more weight than 1,000 notebooks. The investigators were searching for the extraordinary. They wanted drama, conflict, proof. But the real drama, the real power, was in the ordinary, in the calm courage to exist, to think, to choose, to respond without fear, to let the world question you while you hold your ground silently, steadfastly. Oh wow, this is where it all comes together. Fury, chaos, reflection. All the moments that seemed wild, uncontrolled, threatening were never chaos at all. They were preparation. They were growth. Every forced answer, every uncomfortable question, every sharp glance and trembling hand became lessons in clarity, patience, and strength. The investigators thought they were teaching. They thought they were uncovering. But in truth, they were learning, and they didn't even realize it. Yeah, the fury that once seemed dangerous became focus. The chaos that seemed destructive became insight. The mirrors that reflected weakness in them showed only strength in those who lived freely, who spoke truth quietly, who did not bend under pressure. And you watched it all, understanding a simple, terrifying truth. The power to stand, to respond, to choose is invisible to those who try to control it. They will never measure it, never write it down, never own it. And oh, the best part, they are furious. Yes, they feel it. Not because anything was hidden, not because anything was stolen, not because justice failed. They are furious because the control they believed they had evaporated. Slowly, silently, inevitably. Every notebook, every question, Every attempt to cage human choice fell into emptiness. They realized too late that life and people cannot be fully measured, cannot be fully tamed, cannot be fully explained. And this is the quiet victory, the final truth that no one can take away. It ends not with answers, not with judgment, not with explanation. It ends with awareness, with clarity, with understanding, with the calm knowledge that what matters is not the questions asked, but the choices you make in response. That human life, human dignity, human strength is carried quietly in each moment of integrity. And the investigators, the ones who thought they were the hunters, now carry the lesson in silence, knowing they cannot touch what is held within. And so the story concludes. Not with shame, not with fear, not with proof. It concludes with truth. The simplest, quietest, strongest truth. Some things, the things that define us, belong only to the one who lives them. And the laughter, the calm, the clarity, it always returns. That's what happens when they question everyone. Your friends, your co-workers, and the gossip hits back. This isn't over. The fury, the chaos, the truth. It lingers in every choice, every word, every glance. So drop your reactions in the comments. I need to see them. And remember, stay sharp, stay clever, and keep watching the chaos unfold.